They did get a pulse?
They did get a pulse.
How long have you been working for Charlie?
Hello and welcome back to TriggerSmart. Many of you have seen the Brian Harpole interview on Shawn Ryan, and if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend you go check it out. A lot of people did get early access, but the official version came out today for everyone else, and I just finished it, and it's pretty interesting. I still have a few open questions, but a lot of it was answered. And if you watch the whole thing, many of the things that the community's been talking about, like the guy with the SD card or the woman that hands him something, or, the fact that some of them were in the crowd and across from him and things like that, those are answered in this interview. Also, the medical things, like why was there no ambulance there? Who was in charge of the roof? So make sure you go watch and check it out for all those reasons. I'm covering some of the things here that kind of stuck out to me that were still a little strange even after watching the whole interview. So let's go ahead and jump into those.
How long have you been working for Charlie?
Since, I believe it's 18.
Since 18?
18, yeah.
So it's been 7 years.
7 years, almost 8 years, yeah.
So these guys have been working together for quite a while. 8 years, that's almost a decade that they've been working directly with Charlie. Now, they don't only work with Charlie and they don't only work with TPUSA, but it's important to realize that they knew each other well. They spent a lot of time together and they've kind of grown together, right?
It's some horrible realities of it too, that like I told the guys this and I haven't.
Now, look at his movements. Look at his hands, the twitches. So this stuff is hard to fake. To me, this emotion looks legitimate.
When I jumped down on him, he had doll's eyes. And so I was like, man, these are wounds incompatible with life.
You know.
Yeah.
You want to take a break?
So when I was watching this, he had a lot of roller coasters, right? And some points he was mad at the social media community and people talking about all the different theories and attacking him and his team. In other parts, he was sad because Charlie was gone. In other parts, he was happy because there were some good things that came out of it. And he was recalling positive memories. So seeing his emotions look legitimate. And with what you just saw there, he looks legitimately sad and bothered, and he's having the tics and the eye twitches and the quivering lip and different things that you would expect if someone's recalling something and they're sad. So a lot of people are saying like he's an agent. He's had a ton of training. If you go watch that interview, he's had extensive training over many, many years, and the people in his company that he hires have to go through some of the training as well. So there's no doubt that he's highly skilled and has probably had some psychological training and things like that. But as far as like his human emotion, to me, it looks legitimate.
Where did you get your guys? Where did you get these people? And the only response I've ever been able to make sense is I just tell them and I prayed them in.
So what's weird to me about that statement that he prayed them in is he says at a different point that his guys who are already with him have to vouch for this other person that they bring in. They have to bring someone in and he has to vouch for them. And then all of them have to vet them together. They have to go through, in some cases, he said like, a couple months, some cases like 7-8 months before they've earned the right to actually start digging into another level, which is where they say like, are you a good father? Are you a good person? You have to be like Christian, you have to be a believer and those kind of things. So interesting to me that he just said here, this is kind of how he started the interview was, I pray I'm in. But then later he kind of contradicts that by saying, well, the guys bring them in and then they have to be vetted.
I mean, so you are very, very detail oriented.
You have to be. You're in kind of a zero fail.
So he says there that you're in a zero fail environment, so you don't get a chance to fail. And he says he's very detail oriented, but that's going to become a problem here with what I'm going to show you here in a few moments. That is my main question about all of this. So in this part we're about to watch here, watch his eyes. So when you watch the whole rest of the interview, he's either making eye contact with Shawn Ryan or he's slightly looking around left and right as he's recalling things. Once in a while, he'll look down. But now he asks him this question that you're going to hear in a second, and he kind of looks more down. So this is the main part of the interview where I noticed his demeanor changed. So he gets asked this question, and he's kind of like looking down, almost like he's like trying to hide from Shawn Ryan as he's answering. Kind of interesting.
I have to ask it.
Of course.
Do any of your guys have any ties to any foreign intelligence agencies, more specifically Mossad?
We have no ties to Israel or Mossad or any other one. We're Americans, period. We believe in what we're afforded to do here. We believe in our system, and to say that we're Mossad or attached to any type of foreign entity, it's one of those, it's crap on its best day.
Do you have anybody on your team that you think could be tied to an extreme political party who is planning assassinations?
No. One, we're in each other's business.
So it's interesting that he's saying that they wouldn't have the time to be involved in any of that stuff. So really, like, yes, he's vouching for his guys. He's saying that they wouldn't do this kind of stuff. They probably had no part in it. They're not part of any foreign agencies or anything that he knows, but he doesn't really know. His answer wasn't, no, we're on top of that. We have, ways to check their clearances, and we do background checks every 6 months, and, whatever it may be. He just says, no, I feel like, no, they wouldn't have time to do that. So he doesn't really know. So he has some very high level guys, and when they come in, you have no idea who you're dealing with. And if they were from some other intelligence agency, you would never know. They would come in, they would perform, they would assimilate and do everything you ask of them and perform amazingly. And then they would do whatever they needed to do when the time came. So for this part, I would say that he probably doesn't know, and his answer was very generic.
How many days prior were you guys there?
The 24th of the month prior.
So according to him, they were there on the 24th. So they had like 2 weeks to scope the place out, get everything organized, and make sure it was locked down. So that's a pretty good amount of time. Now, this also begs a question, and he asked the question as well. When I say he, I'm talking about Brian. With so little room for missing, right? He calls it the loophole. Tyler Robinson has such a small area he could use to get a successful shot that it begs the question, did Tyler know ahead of time? Did he have time to prep for this? Who helped him? Who leaked the information? Brian was saying that they have a form that they use and they share amongst all the people in the group, in his group, his security company. And they said they can add and remove people and that kind of stuff. So my question is, was anyone added that shouldn't have been? And were any of his guys sharing that information with someone else? Because if they were, then Tyler Robinson would have 2 weeks, basically, since they created the form and got everything in place and we're sharing this information. They have an app that they share it on, but that also makes it so it's not secure. So that means that it can get hacked and people can see that. But the fact that Tyler Robinson picked like the only spot that technically would have worked according to them, with like 7 meters of fudge room on either side, begs the question, did Tyler know about this ahead of time? Did someone tell him? And the people he's working with, did they hack into the app, or did one of the employees at Integrity leak this out to someone?
Charlie had very specific concerns about Israel, and that his opinions were changing about Israel, and that he had expressed concerns about this to various media personalities. My question is the man that owns the company that's in charge of his security detail, and you are the head guy on his security detail, were there any concerns about that or any other organization, political party, foreign nation? Did he express any of those concerns to you?
No.
I gave the short answer, which was no. So according to him, there were no concerns from Charlie about any specific people. And the only people that his company had heard anything about, I think the guy's name is Dan at TPUSA, that is kind of like his liaison for this company. Anytime there's any concerns, Dan would let him know. And then obviously when they're on site, these people here are looking for concerns right in front of them, like people throwing stuff, knives, guns, mobs, that kind of thing. Charlie, according to Candace, sounds like he was concerned for his safety and was saying that he didn't think he was going to live to be an older man. He thought he was going to die young. So if all that stuff was going on, why would he not have shared that with his 8-year-long security team? This guy's saying that Charlie didn't say anything about that. He had no concerns about it. But the texts from Candace say different.
I can't break federal and state law to do what we need to accomplish. And so he comes back and he says, you want access to the roof. And came back and said, I was told students have access above us. If this is true, it would be nice to either have it controlled access or allow one of my guys to be there as well, if possible. He comes back and his last correspondence was, I got you covered.
Okay, so now the reference here is that this is a text between the police department and this gentleman here, Brian. And he says basically, like, we have concerns about the roof. And he asked if the PD officer asked if they want access to the roof. He says he would like some controlled access or allow one of his guys to be there. And then PD says, I got you covered. And he says, thank you, sir. But this is kind of where it all falls apart, because you'll see a lot of times in this interview, Brian throws UVU under the bus, and he throws the Orem Police Department under the bus as well. And part of the issue is that I've done security before. So if you are protecting someone and you're in charge of a place or a person, you're going to do everything you can to protect that person. The issue I see here, and I'm sure a lot of other people will agree, is he blames everyone else, but where he dropped the ball, and maybe the company dropped the ball, I believe, is in trusting this police department to cover the roof. Now it shows here, he says, I got you covered. And if you go watch the interview, make sure you go watch it. He gets into very specific details about conversations they had. And even when they first got there and they're looking around and stuff, they just assumed that they had it, right? They're like, they said they're going to have the roof, they got it. So that was the first mistake. So if I have a client, especially an 8-year-long friend and client, so I'm not going to let them go in that situation unless I verify that, first of all, the roof is covered by the PD, meaning direct communication with the police department, whoever's in charge of it. Do they have drones up? Are they ready to go? Do they have a man on the roof? Is he ready to go? It doesn't sound like any of that was done. In fact, his response was something similar to, he's a grown-ass man. How am I going to tell him what to do? I mean, he has this company of all these people that he trains, and he treats them like kids, right? He makes them learn certain things, speak a certain way, learn certain mannerisms, pass certain tests, and then he organizes them and moves them around for these events. So he does it for his guys, and his guys are hardcore guys, right? These are top military guys, Special Forces, Navy SEALs, world-class athletes, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu masters, and he's telling them what to do and babying them. Yet when it comes to this police department, he's saying that, how am I going to tell a grown-ass man what to do? Well, it was your responsibility to verify 100% that they did what they said they were going to do, period. So that's a major ball that was dropped. So no matter what else happens with all of this, that was a failure on the part of Integrity Security Group. You should have verified with the police department that the roof was covered when you arrived, before Charlie even went out. That should have been verified 100%. So a lot of the blame is being passed to them, but there's blame on your company for not verifying that.
What else am I to do? When a command level person from an accredited police department says, I've got this area.
So what are you supposed to do is you verify that it's done. That's the least you should have done. So did you verify 100% before Charlie was brought out in danger that the roof was clear via the police department?
We put those vehicles behind Charlie's where he's speaking for a reason that day. It's called CPTED, crime prevention through environmental design. A worry was that somebody would come down that same driveway and just run him over from the back, or run people over. So you stack those vehicles so that the vehicles are being used kind of like big HESCOs or something.
Barricades.
Yeah, barricades. And so that people can't get to him that way.
So what he's talking about there is the alley behind. So the spot that a lot of people are saying that there was a car trunk that opened and someone shot out of it and then they closed and all that stuff. That's all their vehicles. Those vehicles belong to the security group. And they kind of put a tape around it and that kind of stuff so no one could come in that general area. And then they put their vehicles there so no one else could ram a vehicle through them. So I mean, the fact that it's all of their vehicles, I highly doubt that the theory of someone shooting from the vehicle is legit, unless it was one of his security guys.
And the rooftops were supposed to be covered from the police drones.
PD said, I got you covered.
I've got you covered. Mm-hmm. And so that zone was dropped.
Yes.
So again, he just took their word for it that it was covered. They never verified it. So that would be like them having the security team set up and going there to protect Charlie, and then coordinating with them saying that they're going to have an ambulance or something. And when they get there, they don't verify there's an ambulance. It'd be the same thing. You drop the ball, right? Because you have a checklist of things that you should have in place to protect your client. And the roof was something you left to someone else. So if you dole out responsibility to someone else and that person fails because you didn't double check on it to make sure it was carried through, then the responsibility is still on you.
Do I need to call a grown-ass man and say, hey, are you doing your job? Do I need to do that?
You shouldn't.
So they're saying he shouldn't have to tell the police department or verify with them. But here he's making it seem like you're a big boy. You should be doing your job. You dropped the ball. And he also says that this Chief Long or whatever it is didn't return his call. The reality is, whether Chief Long did his job or not, it was his company's job to verify that the roof was actually covered. Not just that someone said they would cover it, but that it was actually covered. And you'll see in the interview, they're so detailed. Like, we're 10 seconds out. We're 5 seconds out. Charlie's coming through. Make sure this is in place. Make sure that's in place. Watch this guy. Watch that guy. So why would they have just let the roof slide? Doesn't make any sense.
And so I was watching that, and I remember I heard the gunfire, and then I don't know if you've heard this, but I heard that bullet slap him. And so you hear two sounds, actually.
So if you listen to Audio Freak and other channels similar doing forensic audio analysis, they all say something similar to like the crack bang, right? The crack bang theory. And as they're looking at it, looking for the waveform, they're looking for the initial crack from the gun and then like a sonic crack or a boom or something else at the other side. Based on what he's saying, and you guys let me know, Audio Freak and those guys, if you watch this, does this explain what you're seeing? Does this explain why the distance didn't make sense? Because some of you said it was within like 50 meters is what you were estimating based on the audio forensics. So if what he's saying is true, that the clap was actually hitting Charlie, does that make sense? So you hear the shot, and then the clap, in this case, is not the sonic boom, but the actual bullet hitting Charlie.
The body's an amazing thing that can do things even when it's technically, destroyed. And so my concern is bleed control. And so I'm just, Rick's got me, Justin's driving, World's coming by. I'm working, I end up putting about 36 feet of dressing in him.
So this is really interesting. So when they go to put Charlie in the car, obviously Charlie's 6'5" or whatever he is, so very tall. So they actually can't get him all the way in the car. He's saying in his story that they all start to get into the car. Frank Turret jumps in the back. He lets Frank stay for a reason that he says in the interview. Go check it out if you want to hear it. And then he is basically door open, kind of hanging out of the vehicle is what he's saying. And then another guy is grabbing him and holding him in place so he won't fall out of the car. And while he's being held by this other guy, he's stuffing gauze and doing other things medically for Charlie. Crazy. I mean, it's just the stuff that they went through. It sounds like a battle zone. And then they race to the hospital, and he tells that whole story as well. But the thing that's interesting is, why was he the only one giving medical? And then he also says a couple of times, like, he was worried about bleeding, but not the pulse. He's the only one giving any kind of medical care, which might make sense, if it's one entry wound and one area to focus on.
So those guys that were still there, they went back in the crowd searching for other victims.
So he says that some of his team was left behind because they were in the crowd. That was the plainclothes security that were out there. And they're looking for people in the crowd causing problems and that kind of stuff. Sort of undercover, but not really. They have sunglasses and stuff on. It's kind of obvious that they're agents or that they're security. But he was saying that they were there still looking for victims, which is interesting because he says he knew it was a gunshot right away and there's only one shot. Now, when he's in the adrenaline and that kind of stuff and he's freaking out and he's trying to save Charlie, he might have just shut everything out around him. But there was one shot Charlie got hit and then they left. But the other security guards that were there would have still heard that there were no more shots. So there was one single shot and no other shots, at least that we've seen on video or anything. So why would his guys be looking for other victims if there's only one shot and Charlie got hit? Seems kind of strange to me, but that was his account.
The OR doc released statements regarding, and there has been statements regarding the bullet and the travel. Oh, there should have been a blowout, and I was like, there wasn't an exit wound. There wasn't one. I was checking for that in the ride, and so I know there was an autopsy done. One, because we requested it, they were there. And the second one was the local SO, and I believe it was the state police. They did the body transfer that night through the either Amy's office or funeral home.
He says that he was very adamant that an autopsy get done right away. And he also says from this that they did a body transfer that he heard about or knew about or something. In this interview, it's not clear to me that he actually says, like, yes, there was an autopsy, I saw the report, or I was there for the autopsy, or anything like that. It was just like hearsay from the doctors, which is interesting.
So one, there wasn't an exit wound because I remember rolling his head over and cleaning it so I could see if there was an exit wound. And then I was having to open the wound up some to get more and pack it. If you've ever done an exit wound, it's not that hard. It's a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. And so you can feel it when you know, the rule of kind of thumb on that one is you don't want to make it bigger, but you got to keep packing it in.
So he is saying definitively that there was no exit wound. There was just the entrance wound on the front, and he was stuffing it, and he was having a hard time kind of keeping the hole open to keep stuffing it with gauze, which is the way that you do it. So it's interesting. If that's true, then that means like the shots from behind theories and stuff where that's an exit wound would be debunked with this information. He also says that it was very impossible to stop the bleeding, and he says that it was the carotid artery in his account.
Do you know if his equipment is assessed before it's put on?
Yeah, it's actually held up there. That company that is a subcontracting company for them, they hold that all up there because, you know, and they're around it, almost guarding it because people will steal it. Mm-hmm. And it's inside the non-permeable zone.
Okay.
So nobody has access to it. It's set up in there. Even the boxes are kept in there.
So this is in regards to the mic. So a lot of people, they totally discuss the exploding mic theory. Again, another reason to watch this, but they basically debunk it in multiple different ways. But his reasoning for it not being tampered with, actually, in all fairness, Shawn Ryan did say that the theory could happen, but that he didn't think it was because of the looseness of the shirt. He thought that it couldn't like actually hit, you know, that location. But he also brought up the fact that maybe the explosion killed him and the shrapnel or maybe a shaped charge or something hitting the other side of the neck was a consequence. It was like a side effect that wasn't planned for. But Brian says that there was no burn marks. There was no charring. The shirt was not destroyed. He had no burn on his chest or anything when he was doing medical and everything on him. And he also says that there would have been a flash of light with an explosion. So this one, according to him, has been debunked. But the fact that he's saying that, you know, his people have it in that controlled perimeter and everything, sure, that's great. But if you look at the previous examples of like pagers and things exploding, those were in transit and handled by tons of people and secured by tons of people, but they still made that happen to hundreds or thousands of devices. So this could have happened before it got to this event.
He's a shot, Charlie.
I couldn't tell you. He's the one that, if you see him, he's the one that's running the cameras.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the audio-visual team guy that's running the cameras. He's also the one that they said that he was hiding footage or whatever, that he turned over all that footage to the FBI. So
he did. So this is also the guy that Or was that a security guy? If you look after the event, somebody goes to the camera that was behind Charlie, pulls the camera down.
Same guy.
Looks like he pulls the SD card out.
Same guy.
So according to him, the gentleman that said they shot Charlie, with the weird selfie, even he agrees he can't really explain why he acted that way. And he says you have to ask that guy why he acted that way. But he does clearly say that, he pulled the SD card and the cameras and stuff because he was the one in charge of that stuff. He was hired for the video and the photography and that kind of thing for this event. And he also specified that the FBI was handed over that evidence. So the SD cards went to the FBI.
Why do you believe that the security footage has not been released publicly?
Well,
I mean, obviously the FBI is in control of the
and I'm with them on that.
You are.
Absolutely. I'm with them on that. Man, that video footage or a really good video footage is the truth, or as close as we have.
I mean,
So that's true that whatever that footage is, whatever footage they have, including the cameras on the roof, that should clearly have seen Tyler Robinson get in position, take the shot and everything. That's the source of truth. And everything else at this point is just guessing, really. So until they go to trial, until we see that footage, if they release it after the trial and everything else, then no one is ever really going to know.
I mean, if the bullet hit any bone at all, there is no bullet. It's just fragmentation.
Great point.
And
that was discussed already.
And if there was no exit wound in the autopsy, though, there should be. I mean, if there was no exit wound, then there should be fragmentation of the bullet would have fragmented into who knows how many pieces.
The doctor, and again, this is not a non-disclosure violation, but the doctor came out there and told us. And then they also told Chief of Staff. So the bullet came in and hit the vertebra. So it came in and then tore up everything in the wound cavity, hit the vertebra, crushed it, shattered it, turned, crushed the second one, turned, kept going down all the way. I think they said C6.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's like, why not put that info out? I've seen people.
He praises Paramount Tactical in this video for like holding the line for the FBI narrative and that kind of stuff and getting a bunch of flack for it. But even Paramount Tactical was saying that like bullets don't just like go in and turn. And I think Valhalla said something similar. But he's saying in his account, at least what the medical examiner or the doctor said, is that it came in through that side of the neck and it hit the vertebrae. So the vertebrae is what stopped it, which if you remember, I released a video that actually said, like, could a 30-06 actually be stopped in a body? And in the video, I basically said yes, because there's medical literature, including Martin Luther King Jr. People say, oh, it's a conspiracy thing or whatever. But him with dozens or hundreds of other x-rays that you can find online, where there's bullets stuck in people's bodies, handguns, pistols, shotgun pellets, whatever. And then there's also tons of hunters who have hit deer, including smaller deer. They've hit them in the neck and the vertebrae stop the bullet, or just shooting them anywhere in the body. In some cases, they find the bullet inside the body still. It didn't go through. There was no exit wound. And they're probably using, more powerful hunting rounds that typically just go straight through anything.
I've seen people say that Erica was involved in it.
Now, this is interesting. I want you to watch his emotion on this part. So, yes, a lot of people have been attacking Erica. I have not. I still don't know how I feel about that situation yet. Even if there was some corruption or something, there's still going to be emotion there. There's still going to be loss. It was her husband. I assume they made love. They had kids. They spent a lot of time together. So she would have had some kind of connection to him. But just watch his reaction.
His wife. I've done a lot of death notifications where I had to tell kids that their parents were dead or their parents that their kids were dead. And I know what pain looks and sounds like. I wake up screaming sometimes, thinking of kids' face. The words that came out of her mouth and how they came out when she walked in that room and saw him. You don't want to hear that.
So again, looking at his body movements, his twitches, the weird little things happening, with his hands and his arms and his face and his eyes tearing up and that kind of stuff. The pausing, the breath change, the voice change. A lot of that stuff to me seems legitimate. So he's recalling something. He was talking about the kids and stuff he's seen and other stuff. Maybe that's what was making him feel that way. But when he's talking about Erica's reaction to seeing Charlie dead in the room, he gets overwhelmed with emotion. So that tells me that he believes it because the way he's reacting seems legitimate. So one other quick thing I want to talk about is if you watch Candace Owens, she did have a segment where she talks about UVU picked that location. And Brian says the same thing. He says it was a horrible location. It was horrible when they scouted it. It was horrible when they got there. They had bad feelings about it. They felt like it was not secure, left them kind of a sitting duck. Anyone could get in. They weren't checking tickets or anything. They had no metal detectors. So it was basically worst case scenario. Now, he's saying that they were optioned out of it. Like they basically, that's the only choice they had. Now, again, he could have said, I'm not going to do this. I feel like you're not going to be safe. He also didn't verify the roof with the police department. He, at any point, he could have said, we're not going to do this. Now, money can make you do different things, but did he tell Charlie we shouldn't do this? That'd be my question to him. Like, did you actually say this isn't safe? We can't really, this is like the worst case scenario. You shouldn't be here, period. And I'm not going to do this. Charlie seems to be okay. He says he likes it. Let's do it. I don't know. And once you get to that level of training, you might feel like you can handle any situation as well. So I'd be interested to hear that. So what are your thoughts? There's a lot going on. And like I said, there's a lot more to this. It was like a 3.5 hour interview. So if you get a chance, go over there, check it out. Obviously, it's going crazy. Everyone's covering this. But in my assessment, it seems like Brian Harpole is being legitimate and sincere and that he believes what he's saying. Where it falls short is in the blaming UVU and the police department for the roof issue. I believe that that was his security company's issue because they didn't verify when they got there that the roof was covered. So that is something he's always going to have to deal with. And hopefully they learn from that, because when they arrive there, the first thing they should have said is, PD, do you have the roof? Do you have a guy up there? Do you have a drone up there? Are we clear to come in? And he's going to say that, well, UVU was handling that and the PD was handling that. No, you verify. You send your guy to go talk to him and figure out what's going on. You don't just walk in and assume it's taken care of. But based on what he's saying, it seems like they acted in as good of faith as they could. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, like, subscribe, and share this around. And we'll see you on the next one.